you all for coming on to the stream tonight. We're just going to give a few more minutes to give a few more people time to get onto the stream. I thank you again, as always, for your patience. I trust that everyone has had a fantastic afternoon or evening. And again, I thank you for your patience. We're just going to give a few more minutes for some of the other members to get onto the stream. Again, I thank you for your patience. About 2 more minutes. 2 more minutes, we'll be getting started. All right. I will tell you this, folks. I come on live every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. If you come on time, those that intend to get on the stream, we'll start on time. But if you don't, then I'm going to give room for those that are running late. You know how we do. We're late for everything. So, in a lot of ways, we're always late for things. So, I give time for those of you that intend to get on the stream to actually get on the stream. And that's where the delay comes. So I appreciate it. So if you want the stream to start exactly on time, get on the stream on time. And then we can start on time, right? That's fair. Anyway, for those of you that are still waiting, we're about to get started in about another 1 minute. And then those that are not on the stream at that point, we're going to get started anyway. We're going to get right into it. All right? Again, for those of you that have got on the stream so far, I appreciate you. I thank you for your time. Those of you that jumped off, I thank you too when you get back on later. But thank you anyway. We're going to be getting started in just a minute. go. Whoever's not here, catch the restream. About to get into it. Here we go. Here we go. Again, good evening, folks. Good evening for jumping on the stream tonight on another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Charles Chambliss. I have an important stream tonight. I'm going to go over. I want to speak frankly tonight. One thing I did differently tonight, unlike any other stream, I usually take bullet point notes and things of that nature. What I'm going to do tonight, I'm going to talk right from my head, right from my heart. That's what I'm going to talk tonight. And hopefully you will get exactly the spirit from which it comes from. All right? The subject title tonight, ladies, you have chosen to walk away from your men. Was the choice worth the trade-off? And what did you gain? What did you gain? All right, you have chose to walk away from your men. And in short, what was the choice and the trade-off? And what did you gain? That's what we're going to talk about tonight. This is what we're going to talk about tonight. I'm going to take my time. And I'm going to be very candid. I'm going to be very direct. I certainly don't mean to offend. Although some of you may get offended. That is not my intention. I want to say to you this. All medicine, whether it's for me or for you, it never tastes that good. But I'm going to say what I believe is truthful, factual, and what I believe, if internalized, will change the outcomes of what we see in our communities. Like every stream, this is my intent. I don't know what some of you think I'm doing this for. I'm really doing it to get an outcome. That's what I'm doing it for, to get an outcome. To do this day in and day out, to talk to you. My intent is to get an outcome. I hope that you getting on the stream is to get an outcome. Because if it's not, you're doing the same thing. If I didn't want an outcome, I'd be what? I'd be wasting my time. If you got on the outcome without any intentions on getting a better outcome, you'd also be wasting your time. So I'm going to be frank tonight, and I'm going to be very direct. Again, ladies, you have chosen to walk away from your men. Was the choice worth the trade-off? And more importantly, what have you gained? What have you gained because of the choice? Okay, what do I mean by that? You've heard me mention in previous streams about the dynamics of the women's movement. And some of you may be sick and tired of me talking about the women's movement, but it's okay. Because you're a victim of the women's movement. That's why I keep talking about it. You're the children of the women's movement. You're the disciples of the women's movement, right to this very day. You are the ones that perpetuate the women's movement, i.e., the feminist movement. That's why I keep touching on it. This movement has done more to hurt the black community than any other movement there is. It's done more to dismantle, to overturn the family structure than any other movement that we have ever had in this country. You can talk about slavery and you can talk about any other dynamic that has affected the black community. And I will tell you this, even in slavery, we were together better under those conditions than we are today. And even after slavery, post-slavery, under Jim Crow and all the horrible conditions that we had to experience under Jim Crow and the segregation movement and under direct racism that was put right in our face, we were still married and together as a couple. And our marriage percentages were much higher even then than it is right now. I'm going to go slow. And that's for those of you that want to try to argue the point. We were better off, even in the worst conditions, than we are right now. We'll keep talking about it. You have chosen, ladies, you have chosen to walk away from your men. Your choices led to your trade-offs. My question to you is, what have you gained as a result? Have you and your condition, as it relates to relationships, has it gotten better? Have we as a community, have we gotten better as a result of those same choices and trade-offs? Have we gotten better? Have we gotten better? I want to talk to you tonight as if you're sitting right across the table from me. And I want you to answer, even though you cannot answer directly. I want you to answer in your own mind as if you're answering me sitting across the table from me. That's how I want to talk to you tonight. You chose to walk away from your men. Your choices, your trade-offs. Have you gained from them? Have you gained from your choices and your trade-offs? If we were married again at a 61% rate prior to 1965, if we were married at a rate prior to 1965 at 61%, and then by 2008, we were married at a rate of 51 or 52%. And today, in 2022, we're married at a rate of 26%. And in addition to that, if 80% of all marriages are dissolved by way of divorce at the hands, meaning initiated by black women, and in addition, 80 to 85% of all engagements are also called off at the hands of and initiated by black women. See, here's the thing I found in all of the discussions that I've had with women, that I've had on a continuous basis. You can argue with me saying what I say. You may not like what I'm saying. You may not like who's saying it. It won't remove the stats. It certainly won't remove the data. And it won't remove the statistics. I want to ask you a question. After you finish arguing, after you finish getting in your feelings, after you finish brushing off your emotions, are you capable of getting down to the facts, data, and statistics? That's all I want to know. Are you capable of doing that? Because if you are, we can begin the upward movement of the conversation. Before you are able to do that, this is what the conversation becomes. It becomes a conversation filtered with shame, insult, guilt, and the need to be right. It becomes filtered with the lack of accountability. It becomes filtered with running away from the conversation to avoid answering the tough questions, dealing with the tough questions about why in our community we are at 80% divorced in terms of who files that divorce. But percentage-wise, we are at 26%. That's very low. Ladies, that's very, very, very low. That's very low. In addition to that, 80% of all households are headed by a female. Some of you may be saying right now that have watched my streams, every stream, Charles always brings up the same things. It's almost as though he's repeating his previous stream. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad you thought that. But let me say something to you. It's already scientifically proven that the human brain only contains 10% of all information heard or learned, even in college. So the degree that you have, for those of you that went to college, you have a degree. Just understand that your degree qualifies you at 10%. You know why you only retain 10%? You know why they knew you would only retain 10% and that was enough to qualify you to get the degree that you have in your possession? It's because they knew you had to get the other 90% by living the life pertaining to the degree. Yeah. If many of you ladies have gotten just 10% of the information of what it took to be a wife, if you had just gotten 10%, it's not a lot, of what it took to be and being taught in the positive connotation and not the negative denotation of the word submissive, which simply means to be cooperative. Had you been taught that? Had your mother taught you that? Had your aunt taught you that? Had your grandmother taught you that? Had your friends taught you that, if they knew? Had your coworkers taught you that, if they knew? Had anyone taught you that? All you would have needed from your early years is 90% of the information, and that was based on living the life, and you would have been fine. Your outcomes would have been very different. What is tonight's subject again? You have chosen to walk away from your men. Was the choice and the trade-off worth it to you? What have you gained? What have you gained from your choices and your trade-offs? You've heard me mention in every stream that life is about choices and trade-offs, and that the world owes neither one of us understanding. So what have you gained from your choices and your trade-offs? Many of you have gone to college, you've gone to school, you've gotten degrees, you're doing successful. You're in your church, you're very successful in your church. For those of you that go to church, you're on the usher board, you're successful on the usher board, you're committed to your church. You're involved in every community involvement there is. In fact, you are committed to the cause. Committed to the cause. So that any man that you meet, they already know that you have way too many things on your plate, that there's no more room for them. So even when they're attracted to you, they're attracted for a short term. When they realize that you have too many things on your plate and there's no more room on the plate for them, they're gone. They disappear. And you're stuck wondering, I was told that if I went to school, if I got a good education, if I put myself in a place of insecurity, and if I made myself a place of security, or made myself self-sufficient, I should say, if I made myself in a position where I didn't have to depend on a man, then I wouldn't have to worry about whether they would leave or not, because if I got myself to that place where I was able to buy my own Gucci bag, my own Mercedes Benz, or my own car, and buy my own home and things of that nature, once I came to the table with all of these things, then they would find me very attractive. And what you found out, ladies, what you have found out is that men are no more attractive to that than they are to a fly flying in front of them on a hot summer day. They're not attracted to it. And as a result, you are frustrated. You're so frustrated at what you thought was going to attract a man has not attracted a man at all, except to you physically. Oh, you've had no problem with attracting him to you physically. He's been attracted to you physically since day one. The problem is, like a fisherman, you throw your cast, you wait for the man of your dream. Then when you feel the line tugging or just a little bit, you start to reel it in. You think you're about to win. As the line gets closer, all of a sudden, the line snaps. You keep losing every catch that you have. You keep losing every catch that you have. So you become more and more and more frustrated. It's too painful to admit that your frustrations, your setbacks, your bad outcomes have a lot to do with you and your inability or your lack of being equipped with the tools that you need to keep the fish on the hook. To avoid dealing with those realities, you say, it's his fault. It's his fault. It can't be my fault. I mean, after all, I went to school. I went to college. I have my degree. I graduated. I'm doing well. He would be in a position of privilege if he met me. But you never take accountability for the fact that the tools that was needed to not just catch the fish, but keep the fish to where you can consume the fish. Let me tell you what catching the fish is. Because a lot of you ladies, you have no problem catching the fish. Catching the fish is equivalent to him being sexually attracted to you. That's catching the fish. He's sexually attracted to you, physically attracted to you. So because he's physically attracted, then what's been painted in your mind as a reality is that if he's attracted to you physically, it means he's attracted to you. That's not exactly what it means. Biology has its own language. Biology has its own language. It speaks beyond your accomplishments and what you've attained and what you've achieved. It speaks beyond it. What a man wants are intangible things. Intangible things. The intangible things are what we used to have in the black community. Black women used to have it. That's why you've heard me say in other streams, the women in your past, they were simply made of better stuff. They were made of better substance. Today's modern woman, regardless of what nationality they are, today's modern woman has been convinced And I mean, ladies, you have been convinced. You have been convinced beyond any conversation. You really have been convinced that the way you think today, as it relates to relationship, and as it relates to the men that you say you want, you really, truly, and I mean with every part of your being, you believe it is the thinking that you should have. And still yet, in spite of every failed relationship that you've had, every failed marriage that you filed for divorce for, every called off engagement, everything that you have done, you still believe that your decisions up to this point are not only right, but you believe they're justified. You believe that you have a right to do what you've decided to do in spite of the outcomes that you know you have received. You know it. You become so independent. Again, so self-sufficient. So committed to the ideals and the ideas of what it is that you want to do in terms of your personal endeavors, that the whole idea of relationship has been put on the back burner. The same men that you say you want, you have not concerned yourself, even up to this point. You, the average sister, who's been sold out by the above average conversation, and you, the above average sister, who's been sold out by the media. I'm talking to both of you. You have been sold out that the whole idea of relationship is really not that important. It's all about you. But until you start asking the critical question of what it is that the men you say you want, you're going to keep losing over and over and over and over again. That is what's going to happen. You don't have to like it coming from me. You don't have to like it coming from any other content creator. But I promise you this. You will get to a point where you will wish to God that you had listened. Because time is not on your side. Time is not on your side. I know you think it is. Especially for those of you that have a little bit of money. You know, money has a way of deceiving people. It makes you think you're really hotter than you are. You know, makes you think you're really more the shit than you are. But I want to tell you something about money. Money is paper. It burns. Even if you burn it, your life still continues. What's your plan? What is your plan? It's so difficult to talk to individuals who have already succeeded because they believe their success determines their outcome. Wrong. It does not. Men determine whether you end up in a relationship or not. Men determine that, ladies. Men determine whether you end up married or not, ladies. You determine two things. You determine childbirth and access to your body. That's what you determine. And if that's the two things you determine, don't you think it's important that you come to understand what's necessary for you to attract the men you say you want. Because if men determine relationships in marriage, don't you think it's important that you understand what you need to do and more importantly, who you need to become to attract the men you say that you want? I mean, after all, if it's about them selecting you for relationships, it stands true to believe that it's also up to them to determine whether you end up getting married or not, or whether you die alone. Or whether you die alone. Some of you know exactly what I'm talking about, whether you like me saying it or not. Whether you come in week after week and watch my streams or not, you know that what I'm saying is 100% correct. However painful and however uncomfortable, you know that what I'm saying is correct. You have chosen to walk away from your men. And with every choice comes choices and trade-offs. What have you traded off? What have you traded off with the choices that you've made in your relationships? What have you traded off? What have you traded off to the extent that you believe your choice was a better trade-off? What have you done? Some of you walk away from your relationships for the most stupid reasons. I mean, the stupidest reasons. And that's why you've heard me say in previous streams that the women of old were simply made of better stuff. They were simply made of better stuff. It was a better quality of woman. And I know what some of you might be saying by me saying that. Oh, they were in the old ages and they were under worse conditions and they didn't have as many options and choices as we have today, and some of you even have become as disrespectful as to say the women of old were stupid. I will tell you this much. If you look at the quality of women today, you don't have to listen to me. Just turn the goddamn TV on. If you look at the quality of women today, in videos, in music, and in song, I want you, those of you who consider yourself better than the videos, who consider yourself better than the song, who consider yourself better than all the examples that I'm talking about right now, if you consider yourself better than those, then I want you to tell me if I'm wrong in saying to you that what we see today is worse than the women of old. For those of you that want to say the women of old were stupid because they stood by their men. I'm waiting for you to say that. Because the women of old didn't have the examples that you have today. They didn't have women on the TV with their clothes half off. They weren't walking around butt naked. They had principles. They had principles. They had pride in themselves. They had respect for themselves. They knew how to raise their daughters with the same respect and with the same level of integrity. Let's go back even further. You remember the days when You watch the black and white movies. Some of you that watched and saw a black and white movie. Look at the women in the 30s. Look at the women in the 20s. Look at the level of sophistication that they had with the long gloves. They even smoked a cigarette with more sophistication. Whole different type of woman. But look at what we look at today. I want you ladies to pay attention, man. Get mad at me, but listen. Look at what we're looking at today in 2022. Since we're so modern now, we're so better now. Tell me what the hell is better about today in terms of how the woman carries herself, how she presents herself to the general public. I want you to tell me what's better about today with your Cardi B's and your Megan Thee Stallions and your WAP songs and, you know, the things you ladies love to glorify. I want you to tell me today what's the better example of a woman today in terms of a wife, in terms of a potential, a candidate for marriage. What is a man choosing from today? And how much of what you see today do you reflect? Oh yeah, get mad at me. Get mad at me. I'm going to keep talking about it. How much of what you see today do you reflect of what you see in the current example of what's supposed to be a woman today who claims to want a husband? It's almost laughable. It's almost laughable. It's hysterical. If there's a man available who is qualified to marry you, understand this. They're watching what they have to choose from, ladies. When are you ladies are going to get to the point where you start talking to one another? You know how y'all like to bump your gums and gossip. When are you going to start getting with one another and bump your gums to tell each other the truth? That's what I want to know. When are you going to start doing that? Not getting mad at the people like myself or others who speak the same talking points and then having these shaming tactics and insults and guilt and need to be right. Nah, that's the old playbook. I keep telling you that. When are you ladies are going to start to literally going forward into the future, talk to each other and your daughters and your nieces and your aunts and your cousins who are females who are younger than you are, for those of you that are in my age range or above? When are you going to start opening your goddamn mouth and talking to your female family members? When are you going to start doing it? When are you going to start doing it, ladies? What are you waiting for? You waiting for a new message to come out that justifies bad behavior? Is that what you're waiting for? You're waiting for individuals like myself to be silenced so you don't have to hear it anymore? Is that what you're waiting for, ladies? I mean, after all, this is a cancel culture. Is that what you're waiting for? For messages like this to get canceled so you can remain dysfunctional? And nobody has to now have a conversation with you that speaks to the dysfunction and the bad behavior? Ladies, you are leaving your men. Life comes with choices and trade-offs. How have those choices and trade-offs gained you anything? Have you gained anything from it? Have you gained anything from it, ladies? You're answering my question right now in your head. You're answering it in your head right now because you know if you've walked away from your relationships, If you've walked away from your marriages, or if your bad attitude and behavior has pushed your man out the front door, you know right now as I'm talking that you could have done something different. The man you pushed out, he's married already. Or he's engaged. You know I'm right. You know I'm right. Has your condition gotten better? Have you gained by pushing him out? Have you gained with your degree? Have you gained with your master's degree? Have you gained with your PhD and your MS and BS? Have you gained? Have you gained by wasting all of your best years of your 20s? Have you gained now that you're in your mid to late 30s and now you're reaching 40 and 45 years of age and your biological clock is ticking? It's ticking. Have you gained? What have you gained, ladies? What have you gained? We are better together than we are apart. You know, and I know, because many of us have relatives, family members, right? That are by themselves, and they're up in age. They're already up in age, and they're by themselves. Many of them have made the same mistakes in relationships that I'm talking about right now. They have made the same mistakes. All you did, many of you, is repeated the same mistakes in your relationships because you weren't taught properly about how to get through the ups, the downs, the hills, the valleys of what's a relationship, what a relationship is made of. A relationship is not made of daisies and tulips and butterflies and nah. A relationship is made of a lot of things. It's made of dark clouds and thunderstorms and electrical storms and earthquakes in some cases. Only to find yourself moving from one season to the next into better climatic conditions. You ever notice that in a bad storm, no matter what part of the season that you saw it in, no matter how bad the season was, you ever notice that when the weather got better, you forgot all about the part of the year where the weather was bad? You forgot all about it, right? It's like you almost didn't even remember that you had a period where you had a hurricane or that you had a bad rainstorm. You don't even remember it because once you get into the spring and the summer season, the good weather makes you forget the bad seasons. That's what a relationship is, ladies. That's what a relationship is. Stop walking away from your men. Stop walking away from your relationships. And for some of you ladies that are in relationships right now currently, I want to speak to you. Look directly into the camera. Do not leave your relationship. Fight for your relationship. Fight for your husband. Fight to keep your family together. I know he made some mistakes. I know. For some of you, he's apologizing for some infidelity right now. I want to say to you, if that is you, when you watch this stream, talk to him. You and him sit down and talk. Ask him. Ask him the questions that so many of you ladies never ask. And I want to tell you what that question is. You never ask your husband, what did I do to cause you to become unattracted to me? I made a stream a few months back. Men do not cheat for sex. They cheat for femininity. What did I do? This is you talking to your husband. What did I do? What do I need to change to keep you attracted to me? Ladies, as I close, I want to say this to you. And this is not to insult you. I want you to listen. 80% of our women are overweight. Of that same 80% are considered morbidly obese. Understand what being morbidly obese means. It means that you run the risk of so many health conditions that could easily take you off the planet. Anyway, stop listening to men, stupid men who tell you you're voluptuous. No, you're not voluptuous. You're overweight. Stop listening to men who tell you you're thick. No, you're not thick. You're overweight. Stop listening to men that tell you you're pleasingly plump. No, you're not pleasingly plump. You're overweight. Stop listening to men that make you glorify bad health conditions. Stop listening to it. You got three types of men. They're either broke financially, broke emotionally, or broke mentally. Broke men will always tell you you're thick. Broke men will always tell you you're voluptuous. And broke men will always tell you you're pleasingly plump. I'm going to go further. If you're married, guys, if you're married and you're watching this stream, stop being scared. That's right, I said it. Stop being a panda bear. Tell your wife the truth. If you know damn well she's overweight, and you know she's overweight, and you're physically unattracted to her, tell her while you're still in the relationship, in a very respectful, gentle, loving kind of way. Stop telling her, baby, you look good when you know she's overweight. Stop it. Stop it. That's why the relationships that we have in the black community are breaking up right now. And he's over here with Joanne and Johnny and Julie and everybody else. And she upset. Talking about he left me for Joanne, my next door neighbor. Come on, man, knock it off. Tell your wife what she needs to hear, man. I'm talking to the men that watch this stream. Knock it off. Tell your wife what she needs to hear. If she's overweight, you know how to say it. If you love her, if you care about her, you know how to say it in a respectful manner. And ladies, if he tells you, listen. Listen. Because at the end of the day, men are attracted by what they see, distracted by what they see, or turned completely off by what they see. What does your husband or your man see when he sees you stripped down, butt naked? What does he see? You ain't got to tell me. Ask him. What does he see? Ladies, you are walking away from your men. You are walking away from your men. And have your choices to walk away been worth your trade-offs? And what have you gained as a result of your decision to walk away? What have you gained? What have you gained from it? What I want to do again is answer some questions. What I want to do also is I want to also lay some disclaimers first. I'm going to open up the chat box for questions, which I will try to answer. I will say this one thing to you first. Be respectful. No sign language. Shame, insult, guilt, the need to be right. No insulting the host, which is myself. If you have a question that is actually genuine, I'm not talking about disingenuous questions. I don't care about your opinion. I'm going to tell you that right now. I do not care about your opinion. I want to know a question. I want a serious, genuine question, not your opinion. Your opinion, I will totally block and I will delete as a comment. Why? Because we're adults. We should be able to have adult conversations. But I want to open up the chat room so that you can ask me some questions. And we're going to do that right now. Let me see. Shout out to Debbie. Debbie, well with my soul. Thank you for getting on the stream tonight, Debbie. Appreciate you. Shout out to Margaret. Shout out to Xavier Gretchno, my son. I appreciate you, man. Love you. Appreciate you for getting on the show. Shout out to Logan. Shout out to Logan, man. Appreciate you for getting on the stream. Shout out to Gail. Shout out to Abdul. Okay, here's what we're going to do, guys. At this point, from right now, I want you to put in your question. If you have a question or a disagreement, I want you to put a genuine disagreement, disagreement statement. If you have a question, I want you to put a genuine question in there. All right? No opinions. Questions, disagreements. All right? Let's go. Who's first? Who's first? First question. Who we got on the first question? Let me see. Oh, okay. All right. I don't see a new question. I just see a question that all right. I'm going to answer Debbie's question. What are the stupid reasons we walked away? So we can learn. These men want the video hose. That's true, Debbie. Men back then stood with women. So true. So true. What are the stupid reasons we walked away? That's a good question. Here's what I've come to understand with the stupid reasons. And trust me, they are stupid, Debbie. They're very stupid. The stupid reasons by which we walked away is really in so many ways disingenuous. And I'm going to tell you why. We didn't walk away. We didn't walk away. We were pushed away because the feminist movement infiltrated the civil rights movement in such a way that it caused black women to take on the same struggle that white women were taking on, and as it relates to them being deprived of their rights as they perceived. So the women's struggle, which started as the suffrage movement, and then later morphed into what we knew as the women's rights movement, and then today we know as the feminist movement. This is what infiltrated the 60s during the civil rights movement. And it all but eclipsed the civil rights movement in such a way that black women began to take on the same struggle that white women had taken on as it related to their own men. We were already being deprived. So it's not a struggle that we had. We already had that struggle. White women were fighting for a struggle because they knew that they were considered citizens. We were not considered citizens, but yet in turn, when the feminist movement infiltrated the civil rights movement and began to infiltrate and eclipse the civil rights movement in so many ways, black women jumped on the bandwagon for a struggle that didn't even apply to them. And then it became a us against them movement where women were fighting against the male-dominated patriarchy of the United States, meaning the men who control and dominated the government of the United States, which was considered the male-dominated patriarchy. Now imagine black women jumping on that bandwagon. You know how silly you look. You jumped on a bandwagon that wasn't even willed for you. But you did. As a result, what did it do to the black home? It caused you to begin looking at your man as an adversary as opposed to an ally. Once he became an adversary and no longer an ally, he was pushed out of the home because his value in the home had diminished greatly. He was no longer a valuable resource in the home any longer. He then became later a utility. That means he was only valuable in as much as he could give you something materialistically, and outside of that, scratch your itch. And today has become the same thing. That's all a man is looked at as today. Very few women look at a man as an absolute asset. They are looked at primarily as someone who can give them something. What can you buy me? What can you give me? Not the value you can bring me. That's not the conversation at all. No, not at all. That's why it doesn't take much for a relationship to dissolve. All he has to do is lose his job. She gone. All he has to do is not make enough money. She's gone. All he has to do is not be able to perform like Superman in the bed. She's gone. All he has to do is become unhealthy. She's gone. It don't take much to run the modern woman away. That's why you hear me say the women of old were made of better stuff. And here's the really saddest part, Debbie. Mothers who know what I'm saying failed their daughters because they did not teach their daughters what it took to actually not just be a wife, but be feminine and keep a husband. Because a lot of women had husbands that they kept until death. So many. I know many in my family that did it. Not that many. We all got a few family members that we know that actually did it right. But the ones that did, many of them didn't teach their daughters the success information that their daughters would have needed to succeed. Instead, they taught their daughters to protect themselves against the very men that they would have wanted later on in their life. So their daughters have grown up thinking about one thing, what? Themselves, and only themselves. Not thinking about what it meant to be in their early 20s, looking for the husband that they say they want, while their non-black counterpart did just that. Many of us, many of you ladies that are black, you know you've been to many weddings in your early 20s, and they were always weddings of your non-black counterpart. These weren't black weddings. Very few. Very few. But you went to these weddings, and it crossed your mind, why don't I see a lot of black weddings? Why don't I see it? Why is it isolated to only those that are non-black? It never crossed your mind. But I'll tell you, it's because your mother never taught you. She failed you in that area. She didn't teach you how and what to do to become the wife that someone would select to be a wife. You were never taught. Therein lies the problem. That was a great question, Debbie, but therein lies the problem. Therein lies the problem. And those are the stupid reasons. Those are, in fact, the stupid reasons that so many of our ladies today walk away. These men want the video hose. Before I close out, they want the video hose because the video hose is what the television is promoting. It's what they're promoting to your daughters, who you failed to teach. So if you fail to teach them how to become a wife, if you fail to teach them about femininity, if you fail to teach them about the necessity of pleasing a man, if you fail to teach them about making it an important thing to know what a man wants so they can become what a man wants. You've heard me say in many streams that if your wife doesn't fit you like your suit, tailor fits you like your suit. If your buttons are popping out of the seam, more than likely it's because she ain't the one. See, when you don't teach your daughter these things, this is what you stand to experience. This is what she stands to experience. Going forward, a lot of pain, a lot of disappointment, a lot of anger. So many things that she gets to experience as a result of only one thing. And it's because you refused to teach her in an effort to protect her. You actually hurt her. This is why men go after these type of young ladies, because you produce them. You produce them. Very good question. I thank you all for getting on the stream tonight. I thank you for sitting with me for this amount of time. I believe this is the longest stream that I've done. Again, I appreciate you for sticking with me. With every stream, like you, I sacrifice myself because it's important to me. This is why I do it. That's why I do it. This is not for fun. This is not for games. It's not a game. It's not for entertainment. I'm not looking for popularity. I'm not looking for any of those things. I'm truly looking for results. I'm looking to see something better. when I look outside. We are better together than we are apart. And with that being said, again, I thank you all for getting on the stream tonight. I am your host, Charles Chambers. This has been another stream of Let's Talk About It. I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Let someone know if you find value in anything that I say. If you don't, okay. But if you do, let someone know. And with that being said, we are out. Folks, see you tomorrow night.